People often say that Disneyland is the happiest place on earth. But when I was a kid, I would have disagreed. I would have said summer camp is the happiest place on this planet. Most kids look forward to Christmas, and that feeling that you would get Christmas Eve or Christmas morning would be the feeling that I would get when I was packing my bags to go to camp or on my way there. Every single year, just like clockwork, from the second that I signed up for a summer session, I was already excited for the summer. To me, going to camp beat trips to the beach. It beat Kennywood. It beat vacations. It beat every single thing that I did all year round. It was more fun, more profound, and more entertaining than any other thing I did in life. I've been very lucky and fortunate that my parents sent me to summer camp, first when I was 8 years old, and then almost every year since. And then, when I was 16, I changed my life just a little bit more, and I got a job working at Girl Scout Camp, Camp Red Wing. There's an old saying, and it goes, you never want to be next to 3 different types of people on an airplane. Someone who just got married, someone who just got a new job, and someone who just got back from summer camp. And it's true. After I came back from working at camp, it was all I could talk about for 2 months, and you could ask my friends. Everything we would talk about, we'd be at cross-country practice or we'd go out and we'd be talking about whatever it was. And I would say, oh, well, this one time at camp, or, you know, I worked with this girl this summer and she did this. And it just went on and on indefinitely. And I'm sure at some point my friends got annoyed with it. My parents for sure got annoyed with it. For a while, I'm pretty sure they weren't even sure if I missed them at all. But the reason I was like this, the reason why it was so profound for me and I had to talk about it was because it was a complete life changer. Summer camp is an all-inclusive experience, and there's no place quite like it. I'm up here in front of you today to tell you that sending your child to summer camp could be the most important thing you could ever do for them and the most important gift you could ever give them. And here's why. Summer camp is a completely unique and non-traditional environment, and like I said, there is no place on earth that is quite like camp. Now, of course, there are thousands of camps across the globe, but they all have around the same core values. At camp, your child will learn empathy and friendship and love and what it means to be themselves. They will learn confidence. They will learn to overcome adversity and to celebrate their failures. And it's all due to the environment that is created by the staff, by the campers, by the administrators, and by the ideas themselves. It's not uncommon for an 8-year-old girl to go to camp and know no one there. And they're put into a tent with 3 other girls that they've never met before in their entire life. Think about how you would feel that in that situation. This girl's going to be timid, she's going to be shy, and it's going to be hard for her to talk and make friends. And of course, you know, as counselors, you crack a few jokes, no one laughs. It's terrible, but by the second day, something really amazing happens. It's as though these girls have known each other all of their lives. They are best friends. And how is that? How could something like that happen when it takes years to forge a friendship in other environments? Well, for one, at camp, people aren't afraid to be themselves. It's perfectly normal to be exactly who you are. And the reason that is so is because there's nothing that bonds people together, like maybe sleeping in a tent for the first time, or being caught in a massive thunderstorm and it rains for 3 days straight, or singing silly, maybe slightly embarrassing songs. That breaks the ice. It breaks down the walls, and it makes it easier for these girls to get to know each other from an honest standpoint. And not only do girls make lifelong, or just children in general, make lifelong friends at summer camp, the people that you meet at summer camp aren't quite like the people that you know and are friends with at school. The people that you meet at camp are going to be different. They're not going to be like you. And the only way that I can kind of describe this to you, why this is I'm gonna ask you to imagine a situation. Imagine maybe it's your first day of college or first day on a new job, and you walk into a cafeteria and there are 20 tables all filled with people. You're gonna walk in and you're going to immediately make judgments that you're not even aware you're making. You're gonna judge them on what they're wearing, what they're saying, what they're eating, and what they look like. And in a split second, without even your conscious knowledge, you're gonna judge the people at those tables, and you're gonna sit down at a table full of people that you deem to be most like yourself. That is one table. What about the other 19 tables of people? So often, we are confined by the walls that we build up ourselves, and we don't even know it. We're isolating ourselves from 95% of people that we know because we're afraid of difference. We're afraid of things that we don't quite understand. And so the people that you do meet at camp, they're gonna come from different economic backgrounds. They have different family backgrounds. Maybe they come from different parts of the state, different parts of the country, different parts of the world. And for kids, this is a groundbreaking experience, because sometimes young kids are isolated. You know, they've lived in a town all their lives, and they've gone to the same school all their lives. They know around the same people, and they see the same people every day. And meeting new people for young kids changes them. It helps with their capacity for empathy and understanding. And it's almost infinitely expanding the way that once they can understand one person, then they can understand others. And we live in a highly divisive world, and you don't need me to tell you that. But there's really nothing more important than preparing our youngest generation to overcome adversity, to solve problems, and collaborate over differences, and come together over what divides us. And that's what kids learn at camp. Which brings me to my next point. So not only do you make friends, not only do these kids understand others and meet others that are different, they also learn to defeat problems, to overcome those challenges that we face every single day. And at camp, there are a lot of problems. Maybe it's a camper's first time ever being away from home for a significant amount of time. Maybe they're homesick. Maybe they're picky eaters, and they have to figure out what on earth are they gonna eat all week in the dining hall, and trust me, that's a common one. Maybe they can't swim, or they're afraid of horses, and their mother unknowingly signed them up for a horse camp. Perhaps it's more complex than that. Maybe they have to navigate their way through a high ropes course, or complete team building challenges together. These are all things that kids are going to have to do while they're at camp. How do they solve them? Well, at camp, people are celebrated for exactly what they bring to the table, nothing less. The things that you bring to the table are your most important gifts. They're what you can contribute, and kids are celebrated for that. Not only that, but they also are collaborating with their peers, and they're doing all sorts of things to break down these barriers and learn to defeat these problems. It's so easy to put people in boxes. We do it every single day. We do this in school, we do it at work, we do it everywhere. And it's important to celebrate the successes that come from failure, and that's something that we do not do in school. You know, for kids, especially in young kids, you know, if you can't do math, you're not a mathematician. If you can't write, sorry kid, you'll never be a writer. Can't draw, you're not gonna be an artist. And if you can't play music, you're not a musician. And that simply isn't true. It is actually a known fact that every child is an artist, and every child is a musician. There's no one that learns better, and there is no one that is more creative than young kids. So why is it that we put them down? If we could build them up, if we could teach them to celebrate the success that comes from failure, appreciate the journey like we do at camp, we'd have much more well-rounded students and well-rounded individuals and citizens. There are 8-year-olds out there that believe they are dumb. And that makes you think, how can an 8-year-old possibly believe they're dumb. They're 8, right? But somewhere along the line, this kid, maybe they failed a test, or perhaps there was something that their peers could do that they couldn't, and that idea was planted in their head. It's terrible. So ultimately, we need to learn a little bit from camp and to put that into our schools. We need to bring kids up. When I was 11, I went on this camping trip. It was 3 days. It was with a Girl Scout camp, and I canoed down the Allegheny River. Every night, we would stop at an island, and we would build our own tents and make our own food and filter our own water. And it was incredible. You know, not a lot of 11-year-olds experience those kinds of things. But for me, when I was 11, it wasn't very hard. I wasn't really in charge of anything. I wasn't responsible. I wasn't worried, and I could do it no problem. Perhaps other than maybe a few physical difficulties, such as being tired at the end of the day, really, it was very easy. Now, life is funny, as it often is, and I found myself going on the same trip as a counselor, being asked to help lead it, help manage it, and do all these things. And from the second that I found out, I was terrified. I was thinking about all the things that could possibly go wrong. What if a canoe tipped? What about the life jackets? What if it rains the whole time? Drowning. You know, there's such big fears when you're actually responsible for lives. And I was thinking, how on earth am I being trusted to do this when my parents don't even trust me to do the laundry? It was crazy, right? So, of course, the night before, I was very nervous. I barely even slept. And I woke up the next morning, and we gathered the kids, and we went. And so incredibly, and so startling to me, which it shouldn't have been, everything went exactly as planned. Other than a raccoon, some really nasty sunburn, everything went so well. And I was so shocked. The girls had a great time, I had a great time, and I can honestly say that there's not a single event in my life that has changed me and has been more profound than those 3 days. Now, of course, I was afraid. Throughout the entire trip, I was afraid. But it was okay, because it's okay to be afraid. I actually remember I was handed this map, right? And it was a river guide, and I was sitting in the canoe, and I was asked, is that island all the way over there the same one that is on this map, right here? And I looked at it, and I was like, don't think so. And so I kind of looked at it from another angle, and I was like, I don't think so. Like, I really think we're lost. I have no idea where we are. Call the helicopters. They're going to have to come rescue us and find us. I was so freaked out in that moment. And ultimately, Google Earth works just as good on rivers as it does on roads. So it turns out we weren't lost. We were exactly where we thought we were. But I was afraid. And it just goes to show that it's so easy to get worked up. It's easy to get afraid in moments when you don't know what's going on. And it's easy to be afraid in situations that you've never been put in before. But when you're with the right people, when you're in the right kind of environment, when people trust you, and that's an important one, you're always going to meet the goals. You're always going to do what you set out to do. And this trip, and working at camp as a whole, built my confidence, which brings me to my last point. At the end of my sophomore year, I was desperately lacking the confidence that I needed to go through life. And this is going to sound very cliche and anecdotal, but at this time last year, I was sitting in class watching everyone else give intelligent, passionate, intriguing, interesting TED Talks, and I thought to myself, I could never do that. I could never stand up there like they are and be so vulnerable and exposed and speak in front of all those people like that. And there is no way, if I hadn't worked at camp, that I could ever, in a million years, be up here. And not only did camp do that for me, that's what it does for kids. It's very important for kids, especially young kids, to build up their confidence, to know that they are good at something, and that they are valued, especially for girls. Now, there is this very pervasive classroom stereotype, and we think it's gone away. It hasn't. You know, if a boy is in class and a teacher's asking questions and the boy raises his hand and answers all of them, he's smart. What is a girl? She does the same thing. She's bossy, she's rude, she's a know-it-all, and a whole slew of worse things, right? So it's very important for girls to know that it's okay to take up space, to be themselves, to raise their hand, and to have positive role models. That comes with camp. Maybe it's an older friend or the counselors. These are all positive people that girls see being themselves and loving it, which will help influence their lives in so many ways. And for years, believe me, years down the line will they remember. Perhaps one of the most profound moments of my summer, I was with a group of girls. They were older, 14, 15, and they were discussing exactly what it was that made them come back to camp year after year. What exactly brought them back? What made them sign up and pay all that money to come? You know, was it the canoeing, riding horses, their friends? What was it, right? And this one girl, she says, you know, at school, people don't really like me. I kind of get made fun of a lot. I don't have a lot of friends, and I find myself not speaking out. I keep my head down. But here it's different. People think I'm funny. People genuinely like me for me. And when I walk into a room, not only do I feel welcome, but I feel needed. And I've never had that anywhere else in my entire life. And upon hearing this, I was startled, because how incredible is it that that is the environment that she is in camp, that this place gives her somewhere to be herself, to feel welcome, to feel wanted. How incredible, and how even more existential and amazing that I was part of that. I couldn't believe it. I was part of something so much bigger than me, so much bigger than anything I'd ever done before in my entire life. So in conclusion, I want to touch upon one last important thing. When I came back from summer camp, people said that I was different. You know, dressed different, talked different, I liked different things. All these things about me that weren't quite the same as when I left. And it's true. There are a lot of things about me that are different. It changed my life. I've said that time and time again. But I am going to directly contradict myself and say, no, not really. All those pieces, all those parts, all that passion and all that confidence, it was all there before, but it needed the right environment, the right nurturing, the right people, the right presences, the right need for it to come out. That's all it needed. And I actually found myself after camp, after I got home, saying, I felt so good this summer. And when I'm at home, I feel disingenuous now because I can't be me. Now I have to fix my life. And I set out to fix things and stop doing things that made me unhappy and start acting the way I acted this summer so that I didn't feel disingenuous, so that I didn't feel bad, that I felt appreciated for who I was 100% of the time. That is the gift that you can give your child. Think about it. You can give your child the gift of friendship and empathy, indifference, and the ability to overcome adversity, the ability to celebrate the success that comes from failure. A lifelong love for the environment, and you can give them confidence. And not only that, you can give them a place of their own, and you can give them love. What an incredible gift, right? Now, this is going to sound, again, cliche and anecdotal, but so often we just don't let kids be kids. You know, they have tennis lessons, soccer clinic, travel basketball, All these things that they have to go do that take away from what is most important, their relationships, their character, themselves. So please decide to give your kids the greatest gift you could ever give them and send your kids to camp. Thank you.